guys, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my most anticipated books of 2017. These are all books that are going to be published next year, and I just want to mention in the beginning of this that these dates are all subject to change. As of right now that I'm making this video, these are what all the release dates say on Goodreads. These are just all books that I am personally excited to read next year, and I want to get the word out about these books. Yeah, and I have a lot of books to get through on this list because there's so many awesome books coming out next year. I'm just going to be giving you a very brief synopsis on each book, and if you'd like more information about the book, I'll be putting all the links in the description for every single book I mention if you want more information about it, so just be sure to check that out. Let's just jump right into it because I got a lot of these. So starting off with January 9th, we have Lucian Divine by RENEE Carlino. All I really know about this book is that it's about this girl who meets her guardian angel, and he has like a drinking problem because it's RENEE Carlino and I love her, and I can't wait to get my hands on this book. Next up, January 10th, we have A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, and this book is about a boy in high school who has ADHD, and he sees his foster brother for the first time in 5 years. A lot of people are actually comparing this book to The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and it's getting great reviews so far, and everybody's saying it's a very emotional, powerful book, so can't wait to read this one. Also coming January 10th, we have Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson, and this is about a girl who's living in London who swaps apartments with one of her cousins who lives in Boston. She finds out that one of his neighbors has been murdered recently, and then she questions if her cousin is the murderer, and she finds all these disturbing objects in his apartment, and it's this crazy adult thriller. Peter Swanson is the author of one of my favorite books from this year, The Kind Worth Killing, so I'll definitely be checking this one out. Coming January 17th, we have History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera, and this is about a boy named Griffin whose first love Theo dies in a weird drowning accident, falls into this downward spiral, and the only person who understands what he's going through is Theo's boyfriend. I love Adam Silvera as an author and as a human being. I think he's like super cool, so I'll read anything he writes. Coming January 31st, we have Good Boy by Sarina Bowen and Elle Kennedy. These are the two authors who collabed for the book Him, which is one of my favorite books of the year, and I absolutely love the characters Jamie and Wes from Him. Good Boy is going to be following Jamie's sister and then Wes's teammate Blake. It's going to be showing glimpses of Wes and Jamie are my favorite, so I'm definitely going to read this one. Also coming January 31st, we have The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. This book is about a girl and her brother who are attacked by a cabin in the woods, and they're saved by a bounty hunter named X. X is from a hell called the Lowlands, and he is there to claim the soul of her attacker. It's this young adult fantasy, and it just sounds very interesting. Coming February 7th, we have At the Edge of the Universe by SHAUN David Hutchinson, and I actually did read this book last month. I got an arc of it, and I didn't love it as much as We Are the Ants, but I wanted to include it on this list because I still think it's a really awesome book that deserves a lot of hype, and I want to get the information out there. It's about this boy named Ozzy whose boyfriend Tommy disappears, and nobody remembers him except for Ozzy. The universe is shrinking, and Ozzy is the only one who is aware that it's happening. It's just a very beautiful LGBT coming-of-age story for Ozzy, and it's written by SHAUN David Hutchinson, who wrote We Are the Ants, and I love him. Coming on February 28th, we have 10 Things I Can See From Here by Carrie Mack, and this book is about a girl with severe anxiety, and she gets sent to live with her dad in Vancouver, and while she's in Vancouver, she struggles with her family problems, and she starts crushing on a local girl, and it says it's for fans of everything, which is pretty much all I need to hear because I love that book, so definitely gonna read this one. Coming on March 7th, we have The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin ALIRE SAENZ. All I basically know about this book is that it's about a young boy who's Mexican and he's struggling to figure out who he is. I will read anything by Benjamin ALIRE SAENZ after Aristotle and Dante's. On March 7th, we have 7 Days of You by CICILIA VINESSE, and this is a love story that takes place in Tokyo. That's all I really know about it. It takes place over the course of 7 days, I think, so I like the idea of a book set in Tokyo. It's not something I've read before, so I'm definitely going to be looking into this one. Coming on April 4th, we have Always and Forever, Laura Jean by Jenny Han. This is the third book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy, and it takes place during Laura Jean's senior year of high school, and her dad's getting married, and it just sounds amazing, and I love this trilogy so much, so I can't wait for the third book. Coming on April 4th, we have Gem and Dixie by Sarah Zarr, and this is a story about two sisters from a broken home who depend on each other, and apparently it takes place in Seattle, which is awesome because I live in Washington, so so definitely that's cool. Also coming on April 4th, we have Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. This is a story about a girl named Bailey who falls for a boy named Alex that she's talking to online. She moves in with her dad, who lives in the same state as Alex does, and then she gets this job at a museum where she starts crushing on the security guard at the museum named Porter, and Porter is secretly Alex online. So I don't know, it just sounds very interesting. Coming on April 11th, we have The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. All I really know is that this is a cute romance novel by Becky Albertalli, who wrote Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, so I'm definitely going to be reading anything she writes. Coming on April 11th, we have one of the most unique books I've ever heard in my life, which is Literally by Lucy Keating, author of Dreamology. And this book, the main character realizes that she's a character in a novel by Lucy Keating, and she tries to like change her fate, and it's kind of like the author versus the main character, I think. It blurs the lines between fiction and reality because it involves the main author, like the author is involved in the story somehow. It's like Stranger Than Fiction or something. It just sounds so unique and so cool. Coming on May 2nd, we have Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and it's about this girl named Charlie who her older sister is getting married this weekend, and it takes place over the course of a very chaotic 3 days for their family before the wedding. It's Morgan Matson, like, do I even have to say anymore? I love Morgan Matson, everything she writes is amazing, so definitely gonna be looking into this one. Also on May 2nd, we have Until It Fades by K.A. Tucker, and this is about a small town woman who saves the life of a mysterious man and is thrown into a whirlwind love affair. After the police come, she realizes that the guy she just saved is a famous, iconic hockey player. Honestly, K.A. Tucker writes amazing sexy thrillers. Like, He Will Be My Ruin was one of my favorite books of the year, so I'm gonna be reading any sexy thrillers she comes out with in the future. Also coming on May 2nd, we have Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, and this is about a girl named Alice who buys her best friend Teddy a lottery ticket for his 18th birthday, and he ends up winning $140 million. Both of them have always been poor, so the money changes everything for them, but not necessarily all in a good way, and it sounds super interesting. Coming on May 30th, we have One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This book is pitched as The Breakfast Club meets Pretty Little Liars. 5 students who walk into detention one morning, and only 4 of them walk out. One of them is murdered. All the other 4 become suspects in a murder investigation, and it just sounds so cool. Like, it's like The Breakfast Club, but like the thriller version. I totally want to read this. Coming on June 6th, we have Maybe in Paris by Rebecca Christensen. This is about a girl named Kira who lands in Paris with her autistic brother who just survived a suicide attempt. As she starts to explore Paris with this guy Gable, who's like this hot Scottish bass player, her brother's mental health breaks. I don't know, it just sounds really interesting, and it takes place in Paris. Coming on June 13th, we have a book that I'm super excited about, which is Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios, and Heather Demetrios is one of my favorite authors after I'll Meet You There. It's like one of my new favorite books, so I'm definitely super excited for this. It's about this girl named Grace who's tired of living with her drunken father in California, and she falls for this boy named Gavin who's equally charming as he is dangerous, and so it sounds like it might have kind of an abusive relationship between Grace and Gavin. I'm not totally sure though. I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's like one of the most beautiful book covers I've ever seen. Also coming on June 13th is another one of my most anticipated on this whole list, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Girl named Monique who's struggling to catch a break when she gets the opportunity to write a biography for the iconic Evelyn Hugo, who was a famous movie icon from the 50s, whose 7th husband just recently passed away. I love Hollywood in the 50s, that whole era. Like, it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, okay? She's one of my favorite authors now, and I will read anything she writes, and this sounds super interesting, so can't wait for this. Coming on July 11th, we have Because You Love to Hate Me by a ton of authors, and this is 13 short stories where booktubers got to collab with all these different authors to write short stories about villains. How fucking cool is that? Some of the authors include Victoria Schwab, Marissa Meyer, Nicola Yoon, Adam Silvera, and Andrew Smith. Like, holy shit. All these authors are awesome, and it's all awesome booktubers as well, and I can't wait to read this. It sounds so cool. Now, all of these books that I'm going to mention don't currently have release dates. They're all expected to be published in 2017. The first one is Anchor and Sophia by Tommy Wallach. This book is the first in a series about 2 brothers on opposite sides of a war in a society that no longer uses technology, and it sounds super interesting. I don't know if it's going to be like a fantasy, but you know, it's Tommy Wallach, you know, he's the author of Thanks for the Trouble, and I love that book so much, so I'll read anything he writes, and I'm curious about this one. Next one is The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry, and this is the 4th book in her new adult romance series. It's like the Element series, so this book is the element of Earth, so it's gravity, which I think is super cool. And yeah, I really like this series a lot, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. The next book is Fall Boys and Dizzy in Paradise by Jandy Nelson, and all I really know about this book is that it follows a trio of siblings, 2 boys and 1 girl, and their father disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And I mean, it's Jandy Nelson. She's the author of I'll Give You the Sun, which was an incredible story about family, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one as well. Next up is You and Me and the End of the World by Amy McLeland. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And this book is being compared to Eleanor and Park. It's about 2 outsider teenagers who meet at a party to end all parties, like the end of the world, I don't know. But it sounds super interesting, and anything that's compared to Eleanor and Park, I kind of automatically want to read it, so. The next book is The Temptation of Adam by Dave Connis, and this book is pitched as Don John meets Perks of Being a Wallflower, which sounds like super interesting to me, and it's about this 16-year-old boy who's struggling with a porn addiction, which is super interesting. I've never read about anybody who's struggling with a porn addiction, so I kind of want to read this. Next up is Sad Perfect by Stephanie Elliott, and this book is told in second person, which I think is super interesting, and it's about this girl with a very unique eating disorder and really bad anxieties. I think books that are written in second person are so interesting and very unique and different, so I definitely want to check this one out. And the last book on my list is an untitled standalone by Stephanie Perkins, and it's going to be a young adult horror novel like the movie Scream, where a group of teenagers are being stalked by a mysterious killer with no obvious motivation. That sounds so freaking cool. Like Stephanie Perkins writing a young adult version of Scream. I can't even imagine Stephanie Perkins writing a horror novel, so I'm so excited for this. And there's not a lot of information about it yet. There's no cover and no publication date, but it's supposed to be coming out in 2017. So those are all of my most anticipated books of the year. 2017 looks like it's going to be a great year of books, and I'm so looking forward to reading all of these, especially like I think on the very top of my list we have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Bad Romance by Heather Demetrios. I am so excited for those books. Like, they're coming out in the same day. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna be so like, oh. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for any of these books? Which books are you really excited about for next year? Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.
No matter to me, she said, hola, como esta? She said, konnichiwa. She said, pardon my French. I said,